Hello, welcome back to our second video, Qbasic introduction. Now, a very quick recap of what we have done previously in the first video, and I'll take advantage of the revision to introduce you to a few new concepts. Now, I remember we mentioned that if you want to output something, you type the word print, but I constantly type it in capital letters. I'm going to try typing in small letters this time around. So let's just say I say print 100. You realize that it automatically changes to caps. Now this is the same case for all what we call the reserved words in Qbasic, and in fact in most programming languages. If only you spell it correctly, even if it is in lowercase or mixed case, the program will change it to uppercase to remind you that this isn't a variable or something you can use. It is a reserved word. So I'm going to proceed with something even newer. Instead of small letters, I'm going to put a question mark, and I'm not going to say now till you see it yourself. So I say print, and then I put 100. Watch the question mark. Voila. So this, you've just found a shortcut. Instead of constantly typing print, you can put the question mark, and Qbasic will understand this. Let's run this and see what comes out of it. You are familiar with this already. I just want to point out something. You take note that when we print 100, the 100 appears the number with a small space in front of it, and then the one we put in string, the double quotes, has no space in front of it. We'll return to this later, but take note of that difference between numbers and string, and this is very important in your programming journey to take note of that. Okay, so let's see. I did mention in video 1 that we use this, we print numbers raw without putting them in quotes, but also the same thing for calculations, but I did not demonstrate that. So let's say, for example, I say print 30 times 15, so like 450, and I enter that. I did not put it in double quotes. If I run this, what I expect to see is the answer of 30 times 15, and yes, we get 450. Again, take note that number or calculation, you have a space in front of it. Take note of that. Now the question is, what if I wanted to show somebody that 30 times 15 equals 450? I don't just want to show the answer. I want to show that they're working. What you will have to do is type what you want to appear the way it should be, but within quotes. So for example, I would say print, then in double quotes I'll say 30, and since you are doing it for the human consumption, you don't use a star, you use the X, because that's how we write multiplication. So I would say 30 times 15 equals, then I put the double quotes. And remember from video 1 that you separate segments of the same line with a semicolon. This is one segment in semicolon, the other segment isn't in double quotes, so we put the semicolon, and we then calculate 30 times 15. So you see you have the double quotes, you have in to cover what you want to appear as it is, then the other one just as appears in the previous one comes. Now we have seen some differences in color. Numbers and calculations appear in pink, text appears in yellow. This can change based on your screen resolution or the version of Qbasic you are using. Just take note that the numbers will show you what is different, but it's not necessarily the same colors. I mean, not numbers. Let's run this and see. Okay, so we have our results. You see this time we have 30 times 15 as it is here equals 450. Okay, that shows us that we can show as we want it to be. Okay, now the new thing again at this point, so far we've seen only one reserved word, print, and I said print shows to the screen whatever you have done. It's like for output. Now there may be times you are not interested in showing the output. You don't want to delete your command, you want it to be there. you would want to let Qbasic ignore it. That is, you regard that this is just a remark, this is just a comment, it is not meant to be executed. So you come to the beginning of that line and type REM, that's remark. You bring it down and you see that yes, it reads it as remark. And I'll just do for just that one. Once you press F5, you're running it. Because you mentioned that first one as a remark by putting REM, this time it has ignored it. So we have only 3 lines of output this time round. If you missed that, let me demonstrate that again. So you watch, we have 3 lines of output beginning from 100, that's line 2. If I came to the beginning of that and I put REM and I run it again, great. You see again, you have that 100 is no longer there. It starts from the last 2 lines REM, and that's the calculations. This is also very important. Sometimes you have a piece of code and you are not sure what to do with it at that particular time, or you think it's just taking too much of your time. It has to output several things before it comes to what you want. You can just remark it so that Qbasic ignores it. As and when you are ready, you come and take it. You remove the remark. Or even you just want to put a comment for somebody, you start with REM so that Qbasic will ignore it. An even simpler thing, instead of typing REM, I can just put the single quote. Take note of that single quote. If I run it, what does the single quote do? You see the output and you realize that it has ignored that line also and given you the results for only the last one. So yes, the single quote is just the same as the remark. It's up to you as and when you are programming to choose what you want. Single quote, rem, both are fine. The value is the same. Okay, so we are going to remark this also and try something new. Okay, now let's delve a bit deeper. We want to see how to use variables and to do other calculations. A variable, just like you have in your school mathematics, is you use some alphanumeric characters to represent numbers. Okay, so for example, x equals 4. You can do that. So let's decide that, okay, x equals, what number do we use? 20. Y equals 4. You know what these can be used for. Now, instead of what we did previously, I could have just said, okay, so now say print sum equals, and because I don't want to keep repeating 20 plus 4, 20 plus 4, if you have a single quote, the sum equals, then I just say x plus y. Okay, enter. Pause and see what's happening here. Sum equals, we put that in quotes, we just want something to appear to show what x plus y is. Otherwise, it's going to calculate just the number like we did in line 3. So we want something that will explain the number that is appearing. Okay, so let me run that and let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see sum equals 24 because we are adding 20 and 4. Okay, let me add a little bit of twist so that to make it even more interesting. What if you said sum, so print the sum of, and we don't know the numbers, we are basically dealing with variables. So I could just say the sum of, put the semicolon there, x, another semicolon, then you say and take note, when I am putting the numbers, I didn't put space, because remember that from the first set we said the numbers automatically give space to the right hand side. So you see x, I didn't put space, even though I said the sum of, there was no space there, I just put x without space. That is because I have it at the back of my mind that there will be space given. But the word end, because it is text, it is string, I have put, after the double quotes, I have put space before that, otherwise it will mix up. Let me take that out so that we see the impact if I don't put the space there. So the sum of x and So semicolon y, semicolon, because we are coming back to text. The sum of x and y is, so this time again, and I'll do the right thing here so that we have only one place to correct, is, we put semicolon, then we say x plus y. Take a minute, look at the whole thing. The most important thing is we are typing the sum of x and y is x plus y. Okay, however, because we are putting them in different segments, some are text, some are numbers, text, number, text, number. So whenever you are switching from one segment to another, you put the semicolon there. That's all about it. All right, let's run this and see what happens. Great. So you see the sum of 20 and 4 is 24. Okay, the sum of 20 and 4 is 24. We didn't type 20, we just said x, we just said y, but it picks it because we have previously defined x and y. Okay, let's try something different. An error, but sometimes very basic errors, Qbasic can correct them. So if I went straight to just say the difference, okay, so between, and I put double quotes, x, and so I put this double quotes, x and y is x plus y. What I wanted to, sorry, so this time we're actually taking the difference, so x minus y. Take note that unlike in the first case where I put semicolons, this one I have not put any semicolon there. We expect that to be an error. Fortunately, this is a very basic error. Qbasic understands what we mean, so it automatically corrects for us. I'm not encouraging you to leave things for granted, because not every error will be understood, and sometimes the corrections are autocorrect, not what you want, just like you find on your phone. So always make sure you do the right thing. Okay, so we expect that if we run, we will get the answer, but I just want us to move it a little bit further. Okay, so let's do for division and multiplication. So I'll say print the quotient of, so again, so this time I've been, okay, we just put the quotient of x and y is, then we say x divided by y. We enter that. We print, let's say the product, what is this? The product is, so I'm not repeating all that long one again. The product is x times y. Alright, so let's run this and see what happens. Great. So you will see that each of these gives us a certain thing. Sum, we've calculated that the sum of 20 and 4 is 24. The difference between 20 and 4 is 16. The quotient of 20 and 4 is 5. That's 20 divided by 4. The product is 80. So it makes things pretty easier. Okay, I think that is enough for now. See you in the next video. Bye for now.